everybody, welcome to another video, and I'm going to start this one off with a moan. Yeah, surprise surprise, with a moan. Up there in front, just a little bit further down the road, is Epsom Downs train station. Now I had a job to pick someone up from this station and take them to Epsom train station, just down the road. It's about a £6 fare, that's all. But when I get close to it, these guys are waving me down. They're actually getting into the car as this is frozen here. And I want you to listen to what they say. This is Remembrance Sunday, believe it or not. All right, Remembrance Sunday. That's what you got to remember. So listen very carefully to the way the job went. It went completely different from Epsom to somewhere completely different.
Hello.
Hiya.
How we doing?
All right.
Well, I need to change destination.
Okay.
We want to go to London Victoria. Is that okay?
London Victoria.
Yeah.
Quite a bit different.
Yeah, obviously it'd be more, but is that all right? Are you all right to do that journey?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. How do I? Sorry, just I can never remember how to.
I don't know, to be honest.
Change it.
So we've gone from Epsom train station to London Victoria station. Quite a bit of a difference in distance and busyness of traffic. Why? This is where my moan comes in. Why, you say? On Remembrance Sunday, they decide to cancel all trains and put rail replacement buses on Remembrance Day Sunday. How very British of these people that are running our country to do that. You got people from all over the place trying to get into London to pay their respects, like these two guys that are getting in my car now. But they can't, because the powers that be have decided the best time to do this is Remembrance Day Sunday, is to actually cancel all the trains and put rail replacement buses on. Rail replacement bus is not going to come down here, by the way. And of all the times to do it, of all the protesting that we have in London, we've got the far right, we've got the far left, we've got Palestinians, we've got Jewish, we've got gay rights, we've got everything going on in London, and they can get to these places. But Remembrance Day Sunday, when most of the people are going to be old, they decide to stop the fucking trains. How disgusting is that? Now, don't get me wrong, if this is an emergency, something that's really seriously happened on the track and they have to get it done, fair enough. But we've got buses going on as rail replacements. We are not that organised. This has been done deliberately. You know, they knew this was happening. So, it infuriates me, this country. It really does. I do feel sorry for the tourists that come to this country. Every weekend there is some sort of bloody protest going on. But the one that we want to do, remember our fallen soldiers and everyone else that's fought for this country, we can't even put a fucking train on to get into the capital. It's awful. What a shit country we live in.
2 hours later.
Someone's moaning.
No doubt our man.
So I've calmed down a little bit. I've been in a dark room for a couple of hours, and we're going to get onto this video, which is going to be a lot different from the normal stuff that I do. I've had several requests now of asking me, how do you become a private hire driver, and how much it costs and all this sort of thing. And this is what this video is going to do. I'm going to show you exactly what you have to do, and how much money it actually costs, and your car as well, your car spec and everything like that. Everything you need to know, I will tell you. And we obviously, as we know by now, we're going to be driving into London Victoria on Remembrance Sunday. So let's get on and show you what you got to do. So the first thing you have to do is you have to go to the TfL website. I mean, you can do it all by post if you want to, but it will take an eternity to get it done. It takes a long time anyway to get through all the stuff anyhow, even if you're doing it from the website and emails and stuff like that. So it's the quickest way of doing it. You would not want to do it by post. Anyway, this is the website that you're looking at. So this is where you can apply to do the knowledge as well. If you're interested in doing the knowledge, you can apply for it there. But what we're looking at is the one just underneath it, the one that's highlighted in black. Now, the other reason why I'm not that keen on Sadiq Khan is because every time that I have to renew my license, and you have to renew your license every 3 years, there's something else that we have to do. It's happened every time I've done it so far. Yeah, but this is what you have to do. You have to go to this form here, and you have to fill it out as much as you can, and then they send you that form. They send it to you because you can't fill it all out. Other people have to fill that out, which we'll get into in a second. So for the privilege of applying for this, it cost me £310. Now, I don't know if that's changed at all recently. I don't know. It seems to change all the time. Everything seems to change all the time in this industry. So after about a week or so, I got the form sent to me, and it was already filled out. All the bits that I did online is already filled out, because you have to take that now to your doctor. Now, this is one of the things that Sadiq Khan has tightened up. It has to be your doctor, a doctor that's got all your medical records. Beforehand, it could have been anyone doing this. It really could have. It was a shocking little system that they had going, these people. Yep, there was fiddles left, right and centre. The doctors didn't have any records of the people that they were doing their stuff to, and it was shocking. Actually, Panorama did a documentary on it and got someone with a hidden camera into one of these places, and they were basically just handing out these licenses like they were toffees or something. They really were. Because believe it or not, there is a couple of little tests that you have to do to be a private hire driver. Funny enough, driving isn't one of them. Yes, you did hear me right. Driving isn't one of the tests that you have to do. Obviously, you have to have a driving license, but they don't actually see if you're a capable driver to do this job. Because believe it or not, it is different from driving any other vehicle. You are driving in an area normally where you've never been to. You don't know the person that's in your car. You're looking at sat-navs, your phone, which is always your sat-nav, by the way. When you're a private hire driver, it's always on your phone. So you're looking at that's in a cradle. It's all legal and everything, but you know, the app jobs go directly into a sat-nav on your phone, and you've got a lot of distractions because the customer's talking to you, where they want to be dropped off and all this sort of stuff, and it is different. And then you've got another job that comes over the top of your map, so you can't see the bloody map because another job has gone over the top of the screen. There's a lot of different things to driving as a private hire driver than you would be driving normally. I can honestly say that when I drive normally out and I'm not working, I am a better driver than what I am as a private hire driver because of all the distractions. So anyway, my doctor, he doesn't do eye tests, and you have to have an eye test. So before I could go to my doctor, I had to go and get an eye test. So off I go to Specsavers. Now, Specsavers, they charge £25 just to fill out the form, and another £25 for the eye test. So, if my maths is correct, that's £50. So now I've got that part of the form filled out, my eye test. I don't need glasses to drive. I do need glasses to read. All I've got to do now is learn how to read and we'll be okay. Now, I've got to admit, my doctor's is pretty good for getting appointments. You don't have to wait too long at my doctor's, and I'm not going to tell you where it is in case you'll go flooding in there to bloody get appointments, because it is really good. But my appointment wasn't a normal appointment. It was a medical I needed. So I had to wait about 3 or 4 weeks to get my first one done, which delayed me quite a bit to actually get it done. So what I had to do then is get my DBS check, which in the old days we used to call it a police check, but it's DBS now, which means filling out more forms and taking your driving license, passport and utility bills down to the post office for them to check them out and photocopy them all, and then they send them all off to be checked, basically to make sure that you have not been a naughty boy or girl, or if you identify as a rat's tail. It doesn't really matter. So yeah, so that by the way cost another £50. So is anyone keeping track of how much money I've spent so far to just be a private hire driver? Anyway, hopefully your maths is better than mine. So after that I got my appointment at my doctor's and I went and had my medical. He passed me fit to be able to do a driving job. Yep. And it cost me £137. Now, as some of you know, I am white and I am English. White shouldn't really come into it, but it does seem to be on all these forms what you are. And I am white English. I am in a minority of under 5% that does this job. Are white English, believe it or not. In our capital city, white English is less than 5% that do this job. Sometimes when I pick people up and I say hello when they get into the car, or hiya, or how you doing, whatever, they look at me with this funny look and say, fuck me, you're English. I kid you not. That is what comes out of their mouth so often. Now, the reason I brought that up, there is a method to my madness here. I had to prove that I could communicate in English, even though I am English, born and bred in London, and we can go back, I think it went to 9 generations of being in England, most of them from London, and yet I still had to prove that I could communicate in English to these people. Now, they wouldn't talk to me over the phone. I couldn't go to an office to talk to them and explain that I am English. You just have to listen to my voice and you can see that I'm not only English, I'm a bloody Londoner. But that wasn't good enough. I had to give them written proof that I was English and I can communicate in English. So I had to give them my school exam results. Yes, it's embarrassing, my school exam results, but I have got an English CSE. For all you youngsters out there, a GCSE used to be called a CSE back in the day. Yeah, but I didn't have the certificate. I had no idea. I'd never been given the certificate. My school was that bad and my grades were that bad that they couldn't even be bothered to actually tell us that we had to go and get the certificate. That's how bad my school is. So I had to get back in touch with my school and say, how do I get a certificate to say that I've got some exam results? Now, obviously, it's not down to the school to give me a new certificate because we're going back over 40 years, you know, but they put me on the right path to actually get a new certificate sent out to me. And guess what? It was another £50. So I've done pretty much everything I can do. I'm waiting for my DBS check to come back. Eventually, after it seemed like a really long time, it was about a month or so before it came back, and obviously it was okay. So what you do then is you send all of your stuff off to TfL. Now you can send it off bit by bit, but for me I preferred to send the whole lot off, the completed whole lot off in one go. That way they can work from start to finish to process it, rather than them getting it in bit by bits and then you got to quote references and all this sort of stuff. To me, it's just easier to send the whole thing off in one go. But be very careful because your DBS check has a expiry date on it, and if you're later than that, it will cost you another £50 to do exactly the same thing that you've already done. But having said that, they do keep changing how they work on the DBS. They're trying to do everything electronically so it goes straight to them and they just get reference numbers and all that sort of stuff. You get the hard copy sent to you, but they've already received it through a number that goes straight to TfL. So that might not be the case anymore, but it was when I first got my license. Now, when I did my license the first time, the whole process from start to finish took about 8 months. It was never ending. It was sort of like one thing after another. It's sort of, come on, how long is this going to take? Yeah, it took about 8 months. Funny enough, I've had to renew my license twice since then. And the best one was when we was in COVID. We was in COVID, and from start to finish, it took 4 weeks from me starting my process of renewing the form and all that sort of stuff, and getting an eye test and medical. I had to do everything the same, but it took about 4 weeks to process the whole lot and have the license sent to my house. It was amazing how quickly that worked, and we were in COVID. So I've sent all my stuff off now to TfL, and I'm waiting for the response. After which, I can't remember how long it took, to be honest, but it was a very, very long time. I get a letter from them saying I have to go and book a topographical test. Now, they call it an assessment. I call it a test, because if you fail this, you can only do it twice. That's what we were told back then anyway. You have to go back into the website and book your topographical assessment. Yeah. But if you fail it twice, you cannot do it again. That's what we were told. I don't know whether that's still the same case. Who knows? They keep changing it, as I say, from time to time. Everything keeps changing. Now, I've got to admit, I was not looking forward to this. I know how to do map reading. I've done it since I've started work as a young kid. I can do map reading, but you have to write it out. And I've got dyslexia. I didn't ask for any special treatment in this case. I just wanted to go in like everybody else and try and do this assessment without anyone helping me out, because I've got dyslexia. And you do have to write it out exactly the same sort of way as a black cabbie would do on the knowledge. Obviously, you've got a map in front of you. They have to do it by memory. We can look at a map and we write down the name of the road. You go forward, whatever name of the road is, and then right, whatever the name of the road is. But you don't have to write forward and right. You can just do F and then the R for forward or right, and same was with L for left. So it is made easy, but obviously with dyslexia and you're looking at this map, spelling and all that sort of stuff, it's I was quite nervous. Even though I am so confident in map reading, I was actually quite nervous, because you actually are in a room just like you was when you were as kids doing an exam, you know. And I was, what was I was nearly in my 50s, and I've gone back to school to do an exam with dyslexia. And yeah, I was nervous, to say the least. Now, the thing is with this, you don't actually tell them when you can do it. They tell you when you're doing it. They actually send you the letter saying, we want you here at this time, this date. And you literally just got to drop everything, and you've just got to be there at that time and that date, which I was. Oh, and this cost me another £50. Now, is anybody keeping track of how much money I've spent so far? I'm not rounding these numbers up neither. These are the numbers that I had to pay. I'm not going to tell you where I did my assessment. I'm going to call it assessment, because that's what they call it. Assessment, because there was some funny stuff going on there. Most people there were paying by cash, and the woman who was taking the money was putting the money in her pocket. I kid you not. There was no cash box. Maybe they didn't have a cash box and all the money was going in her pocket to be on the safe side. But yeah, it was going in her pocket. I mean, you couldn't even pay by card. You had to pay by cash, and the money was going straight in her bin. So who knows? I don't know. I hope it was all above board, because it was a TfL run site. It wasn't one of these flyby ones that there was a lot going around, and it's all in that panorama documentary that, you know, these guys were just giving people the answers. They were telling them what ones to get wrong and all of that. They'd have about 3 or 4 people in a room, and they were telling, right, you get this one wrong, you get that one wrong, you get this one wrong, and the rest of them will be okay. So you can't all have the same answers. And TfL were falling for that. It was it was a joke, absolute joke. But that has been tightened up by the stuff that's going on recently. That has been tightened up. So I've got to, do I have to? I've got to give Sadiq Khan's Transport for London a little bit of credit for what they've done recently on how they've tightened things up, because it was seriously bad. So while I was there was a couple of guys there that were doing the test for the second time. which literally made my nerves even worse, because they could communicate in English very well. I could hear them talking to each other, and they were talking in English, and so that shit me up a little bit, to be honest, because I thought, oh god, how hard is this assessment? Now I think I made a major fuck up basically on this assessment, because I scraped through by the skin of my teeth. You have to be 60% or over, and I was 67%. I got right. So I must have dropped something. I must have dropped a clanger. I must have had a dyslexia episode in there and wrote something down completely wrong. They couldn't understand it or whatever. They don't explain to you what you got right or what you got wrong. Obviously, they just say, there's your mark. You got 67%, which is a pass. So yeah, I passed, but by the skin of my teeth. It wasn't particularly good. Now, after probably about 5 months after that, I got my license sent out to me. I'd done everything they asked, and I got my license sent to me. And they last for 3 years. Every 3 years you have to renew it, and you pretty much have to do the same thing again. Other than the topographical, you don't have to do that again. And you don't have to show them your certificate, your English certificate, because you've already done it. But as I say, Sadiq Khan's TFL always throws something in your way. So I've had to renew my license twice since then, and this last one I've had to do another assessment on this here. It's all computer based this time, in a classroom just like the last one, but a much bigger scale, on a much bigger scale. And again, they tell you when and where they want you to take this test. There's loads of things on YouTube that you can have a look at to see what you're letting yourself in for, just so you got some idea of what's going to happen on the day. That you have to read the handbook, and it's apparently all questions based on the handbook on this, all this safety and everything else, and blah 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 blah. I'll give you a couple of examples in a little while about what sort of questions they give you. Now, it's all about safety and the handbook and stuff like that, but it's given to you like an English exam. And that's to catch people out. I'm sure of it, to catch people out, because it's not about your understanding of how the handbook works, your safety and all this sort of stuff. It's also an English exam thrown in there, but they don't like to call it that though. The thing is, the problem I have with this is the fact that they're asking you questions that have I will never need to know them. Like, what's the minimum age that you can be a private hire driver? I don't fucking care, because it doesn't affect me. You guys need to know that. I don't need to know that. I might eventually, in a few years' time, need to know if there is an age limit on it, which I do know there isn't an age limit on a private hire driver. But do I need to know certain things? I don't need to know these things. The people that are giving out these licenses, they need to know these things. I don't. And if I did need to know these certain things, I would look them up. I don't need to have an encyclopedia in my car telling me, oh, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. I don't care. I don't give a shit what it means, you know. I really don't. What I do care about, I had to take a day off work to go to the O2, and it cost me another £36 to sit this assessment. And no, I didn't have to go into the O2. It's just literally at the O2. It's literally right around the corner, and that's where they got their offices now. That's where all the cabbies do their appearances to do the knowledge and all that sort of stuff now, which I will get into because of the stereotype of me. Yeah, me, you know, me and my stereotype of Audi drivers and things like that. Well, there's a stereotype that just keeps going around these sort of places. It's really bad, to be honest. Now, you can class this as racist, whatever you want to do, and it has been said to me a few times, are cabbies all racist? Now, it was addressed to me, this comment, bear in mind I'm a private hire driver and not really a cabbie, but you're referring to me, so you're talking about private hire drivers. As I've already said, I'm in a minority of only 5% are white English that do this job. So if we're all racist, then we are in trouble, aren't we? But I have received racist comments from these people before. I'm actually in lots of different groups for private hire drivers, and once they see my face, they are very different to me. First of all, they think I'm a black cab driver and I am undercover sort of thing, trying to get information from the private hire drivers, and they are actually quite nasty in the comments. I actually have moved myself out of these groups because they, for some reason, they kept sending me pictures of pork chops for some reason. You tell me. I know it's the religious thing, but yeah, they keep sending me pictures of pork chops. So I had to leave the group. But I walk into this place at 8:30 in the morning. My appointment, my assessment, is at 8:45, 8:45. Now I've looked around the waiting room, or it's a foyer really, and I am the only white face in the building, and that includes the staff. There was 3 Asian guys behind the counter, and it doesn't bother me because it's the job that I chose to do, and if you have a problem with that, then that's your problem, not mine. But when I went up to the counter, the guy said to me, "Are you here for appearance?" No, I'm not. I'm not a black cabbie. I'm here to do the assessment thing to be a private hire driver. And they look at you sort of, what? You know, you're white English. Why are you not being a black cabbie? And it's bizarre. And the thing is, remember what I'm there for, to understand it. It's like a bloody English test. No matter what they say, it's like an English test. I will give you an example in a little while. I said to them, it's 8:45 my appointment, and the guy looked at me like I was talking a foreign language. A guy behind him was looking at him, and then they both started looking at each other, and I said, "Do you want to see my letter?" And I had to show them my letter, and they said, "Oh, it's 8:45. They didn't know what 8:45 meant. They didn't know what 8:45 meant, and yet I'm there for a fucking English test. And these are the people behind the counter that's telling me I've got to go for an English test. So let's disregard what they've done there. They've made a mistake. Don't worry about it. What happens next is, for me, it's racism. Yeah, racism works both ways. It's just because I'm white and they're not, it works the other way round as well. Racism isn't just about colour. It's about everyone. Yeah. What they asked me to do is come back later. They told me, it was pissing down with rain, by the way. They said, "Can you go out? You're too early." And I looked at him and said, "It's only 15 minutes, mate." And I looked around the place, and the place is heaving with people. I mean, there's a load of people there. And his mate looked at him and said, and went over the top of him to me. He said, "If you could just go and stand over there in the, you know, wherever you can stand and find the gap, then that's fine." Okay, I'll go and stand out the way, you know, away from you guys, you know. Anyway, the time come to 8:45, or should I say 8:45 for the people that don't know what 8:45 means. The guy come along and he shouted out 8:45s. Everybody in the foyer got up. I was the only one that was asked to piss off out in the pouring rain. I was the only one that's got a white face in the fucking building. Now you tell me that that's not racist or incompetent from the guy behind the counter. You tell me. I don't know, because a lot of people seem to think that I say racist things, but every person in that place wasn't white other than me, and I'm the only one that's being told to get outside. Now, I didn't make a song and dance about it or anything like that, because I'm trying to get my head around doing another bloody test, to be honest, and is my dyslexia going to kick in and mess me up again? But I'm quite confident on a computer. It's all based on a computer and everything else this time, and I will show you an example like I keep saying. But when this guy comes out and shouts out the time, we all get up and we all go into a lift and we all go upstairs where there's free counters where you have to pay. You have to show your ID as well, which is good. I've got to say again, which is good, because all this stuff wasn't happening years ago. So again, I've got to put my hands up and say well done to TFL and Sadiq Khan, or Sadiq Khan's TFL I should say, for making sure that the person in front of them is the person that's sitting the test, because that wasn't the case not that long ago. And it was when Sadiq Khan was in power as well, right? Before anyone says it was before him, it was when he was in power. But he has tightened it up. The only thing that I've got to say about it is it's been tightened up for people like me who do everything correctly anyway. You know, that's the thing. I've got to jump through hoops because of these people that have tried to fiddle the system. They have to bring in something else to stop them fiddling, and I have to go through that hoop as well, even though I haven't fiddled the system and I'm doing everything correctly. The thing is, the private hire system here is serious money. There's over 100,000 private hire drivers in London, and there's places like this that you can go to actually help you out getting through these tests. I mean, I didn't do any of that. I just turned up and did it myself. Like, you know, I looked at a few YouTube channels and stuff like that to actually help me out to work out what I was walking into, to be honest, rather than going on a course and all that sort of stuff. I didn't think I needed it, and I didn't. I do feel sometimes that I need to bang my head against the wall because the world has gone crazy and I want to get off, because there are a lot of places where you can go to for advice and everything else to get you through these tests. They fill out the forms and all that sort of stuff, but have a look at some of these that I found online. He's in a left-hand drive. That won't happen. They're all the courses that you can go on. They're still in a left-hand drive. This guy's on the phone. You got a driver on the phone. Part of the thing is about being a safety. Another one that's on the phone. Am I mad? He's on the phone. I mean, these are all places that would show you how to get through a safety course, and yet their picture on the internet is with the driver holding the phone. Am I missing something here? Have I just lost the plot, or I just think that I'm going mad sometimes? I really do. Anyway, petrol head moment for you over there on the right hand side. We've still got around about 20 minutes before we get to London Victoria Station. And as you can see so far anyway, we've had a really good run. There hasn't been a great deal of traffic considering there's no trains. So let's get back to the test that we've just done. I just want to show you a little clip of what I found online that gives quite good examples of what this assessment, they call it assessment, is all about, and the questions that you will be given if you go for this. Like this one here. This is exactly how it is set out on the screen in the exam room. Exactly like that. Do you know what it is? Any ideas? It will shine up in a minute. It will show you. You ain't got long. Yep, it's 21. So, the next one is again, I think, wrong. Like them clips I've showed you before with the guys on their phones and everything else, I think this again is online. I think that this answer is wrong. Now again, this is exactly how this is set out on your day of your test. Exactly like this. But I think they've got this answer wrong. I really do. It's quite easy. You just got to fill out the spaces there. All the words are there at the bottom, and you just got to put them in there, and the incorrect words you got to put them in the pink box there before clicking onto the next question. Now, to work as a local private hire driver, I don't want to work as a local private hire driver. I want to work as a London private hire driver, don't I? Surely that has to be London and not local. I mean, local private hire drivers around where I live are Banstead, Epsom and stuff like that. They are licensed by their own council. I'm licensed by TfL, Transport for London. Now in this test, the score again had to be over 60%. My score was 98%, so I did get something wrong. Maybe it was that one I got wrong. Or it could have been the one, or I actually had 2 questions. Believe it or not, I swear to God, I got 2 questions on Muslim law. Yes, trying to be a private hire driver for London, I got 2 questions on Muslim law. Again, it wasn't directed at me. It's because of Muslims, they were not taking blind dogs. Blind dogs, for fuck's sake. Guide dogs. They were not taking guide dogs. We would be in trouble if the dogs were blind, wouldn't we? Yeah, they wasn't taking guide dogs. So they changed the Muslim law. It was against their religion. So they changed the law that they had to take guide dogs. They don't have to take pets, neither do I. I don't have to take pets, but I always do take pets. I'm a pet lover. I love pets. I prefer to take the pets and leave the fucking humans behind, to be honest. But I hope you get where I'm coming from here. That question isn't directed at me. It's directed at Muslims who are not taking guide dogs. And I get the same question, which I don't think it's right. I don't know how they put that right, but I don't think that's right, because what has Muslim religion got to do with me being a private hire driver? I don't know. You know, just because they're not taking guide dogs, that's not me. That's got nothing to do with me. Why do I need to have a question on that? Why does anyone need to have a question on someone's religion about being a London private hire driver? It's like the rule is you got to take guide dogs. You cannot refuse to take a guide dog. And that is our rule. And if you can't do that, you can't do the job. So you don't get a license. It's that simple, isn't it? So that's me all licensed up. That's as far as I can go really in telling you how you get your private hire license. Your next step is your car. It's got to be a certain spec of a car. Now that has changed dramatically over the years. And just so you know, if you're paying attention to where we are, we're in Battersea at the moment. We're going to be going over the River Thames in a minute to go into Chelsea and work our way through to Victoria. Now let's get back to the cars. Now when I started this job, in actual fact, I have to give a bit of a shout out now to my brother, because it was his idea that I did this, because I drive, I'm a good driver, I know how to drive and I know my way around. And he came up with the idea. And the thing that sort of put me off a little bit is the price of the bloody cars that you have to have. Now, my brother bought me my first car to do this job. This is Battersea Bridge, by the way, which was a 1-year-old Mondeo, Ford Mondeo. It was a diesel at the time. Diesels were fine to be a London private hire driver. They're not now, because if I still had that car now, I would have to pay congestion charge for it. It would still be exempt from ULEZ because the engine was a Euro 6. Now that car cost my brother £15,500. Is anybody still adding this stuff up? A lot of money we're talking about now, isn't it? Anyway, yeah, it was very, very decent of my brother, wasn't it? I was actually working for my brother at the time, and I think it was, what the fuck can I do to get this miserable git away from me? I know I set him up in business, so that's exactly what he's done. I'm only joking. He loves me, really. Now, to get this licensed as a private hire vehicle, you have to take it for a TfL inspection. Yep, another £140. But before you can do that, you have to take it for an MOT. Now, the MOT can't be any older than 14 days old before you take it for the TfL inspection. And I know what some of you are going to be saying, but it's only 1 year old. You don't need an MOT. You do if you're a private hire driver. You need 2 MOTs a year as well. So bear that in mind as well. Now this was a 2 litre Mondeo. I was nearly 50 at the time and never had a crash, never had an accident in my life, but I had to start from scratch, no claims bonus and all that, because it was being used as a private hire vehicle and the insurance is a lot higher than what it normally would be if you were just driving it as a normal person. So my insurance cost me. So does anyone still want to be a private hire driver that's watching this? With all these figures that are coming up on the screen, it's a lot of money to set yourself up in business, isn't it? Anyway, after maybe a year, 2 years, something like that, this car was not exempt anymore from going into London. My mate Sadiq Khan changed the rules and I had to pay for congestion charge. So we had to make a decision. My brother, being my brother, he said, you do what you want, the car's yours, it's nothing to do with me. So I made a decision on the car. I sold the car and I went to Kia to get a hybrid, a petrol hybrid. Now the thing is, I went to a private hire company to do this and I went on a scheme called a rent to buy. And all I did, I paid £500 deposit and £249 for the first week rent. Yes, you did hear me correctly. 1 week is £249. Now, after 4 years, that car will be mine. I'm paying £249 per week for this car, and they can take care of everything. That includes insurance, and I've just shown you how expensive insurance is for a private hire. All the servicing, MOTs, which is twice a year, all of that is down to them. But after 4 years, the car becomes mine. But we didn't get that far. We got to about maybe a year, and Mr. Sadiq Khan, my mate, changed the rules yet again. And then disaster hit, absolute disaster hit, COVID. But it wasn't COVID that made me have to change the car. It was my mate Sadiq. I had to change the car from a hybrid to an electric. So what it cost me again was £200 fine for taking the car back. Another £500 deposit on the new car, the electric car. And then the first week in advance of £249. So I hope this video has actually shown you why I'm not a great lover of Sadiq Khan and his TFL. They've cost me an absolute fortune, and the companies that I actually work for don't pay great money. Now it is the new slave trade, it really is. I'm going to show you a couple of little jobs that I get offered. Here we go. You're looking at the price there, which is £4.88 for this particular job. Now what you're also looking at is how far away that job is. Can you see it there? 15 miles away. They want me to drive 15 miles to go and pick someone up to take them for 1 mile and offer me £4.88. It's the new slave trade, I tell you. I'll show you another one just so you know it's not a one-off. Here we go. £5.34. 17 miles away. That's to pick them up, and then I've got to take them 1.8 miles. Who's going to accept them jobs? I don't. I'll tell you that. I never accept nonsense. So the next time you get an Uber, have a little look at your driver's rating and see how he rates. Mine is there. 4.99, which is actually quite high. I got 19% acceptance rate, so I refuse quite a lot of jobs, and the 1% is where I've accepted it and then cancelled it afterwards. Either I've seen them on the road and they don't look very nice, or they're pissed out of their head and I don't want them in my car, so I cancel on them. Now if there are any private hire drivers watching this, they will be saying, you've only done 5,158 jobs in 6 years. Yeah, because that is really, really low compared to these guys. That is massively low. That is so low. Yeah, because I'm picky. I don't take shit. And this is another one of my cards here that you'll see. Yeah, I did get one star. Yeah, someone after a free ride, I think that was. You do get all sorts of these people that they're not very nice, to be honest. Yeah, so after all that expense that you paid out to license yourself, license your car, you get job offers like that, and then you get treated like shit by some customers. I've met some lovely people, don't get me wrong. I've met some really, really nice people, salt of the earth, really nice. But I've actually had the shits as well. I've actually had people that spit on me. I've actually looked down at me, talked down to me, actually hit me. I've had 2 left hooks from someone sitting in the car. I've actually had my car graffitied on from the inside. Yeah, from the inside they've actually graffitied my car. Yeah, these people are just they're different gravy, some of them. But as I say, some of them are exceptionally nice. So we're almost at the end now. We've probably got about 5 or 6 minutes before we go into Victoria Station. I cannot believe the traffic. There is none. For London, there is none. Considering there's no trains, and you'll see when we go into Victoria Station, and as you guys know, I don't go into central London that often, and it's empty. There's no one there, obviously, because there's no bloody trains. But what a day to do it on. What a day to do it on. Remembrance Sunday, they've cancelled trains, and I don't know what they're doing to the train track, but yeah, what a day to do it on. Yeah, so hopefully there are some of you still watching this that do not want to be private hire drivers, and if you did want to be a private hire driver, I think I might have persuaded you not to do it, because it's not the best, to be honest. The best thing about the job, the one thing that is absolutely superb that you will not get with any other job, I don't know of any other job that does this other than being a black cab driver, is the flexibility. The flexibility is superb, absolutely superb. You can start and finish whenever you want. You can take days off whenever you want. But you obviously have to earn enough money to pay for at least your rent of your car. Otherwise, you'll be treading water forever. So as we're turning in now to Victoria Station here, this road is normally chock-a-block, you know, and round here, you know, it's just normally full up with everything. But there's no one here. It's odd. I've never seen it this empty. Yeah, it was really lucky, and going back to where I normally work was pretty much the same. It was really nice and empty. I didn't go the same way. I did go a different way. But thanks for everyone that stayed till the end. I don't know how many of you would have stayed to the end here, because it's all about being a private hire driver and not the normal stuff. It's probably not everybody's interest in what this subject was about. I will start the normal stuff again tomorrow, but yeah, the question was asked so many times about being a private hire driver, and I think I had to show people what it's like and how much money you can spend. You know, I didn't go into how much money you can make, because that does depend on you. It just depends on how busy you want to be, how many hours you want to put in, the time as well, the time of day or night that you want to put it in as well. If you want to earn good money, you do have to work a lot of hours, though. I will say that you have to work a lot of hours, and you should really do the drunk shift, you know, the nightclubs, the pubs and all that sort of stuff. I don't want any of them sort of people in my car, because I've been one of them in someone else's car, and I know how they behave. So yeah, I steer clear of that, and that obviously that affects me financially, and that will do you. So anyhow, that's it. We've parked up now, and we've made it to Victoria Station. So once again, guys, thanks a lot for watching, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye for now.